They were not the railway children to begin with. I don't suppose they ever thought about railways except as a means of getting to the zoo or the theatre. They were just ordinary suburban children who lived with father and mother in an ordinary red brick villa in London. The year 1900. There were three of them. Roberta, the eldest, they called her Bobby. Phyllis, who meant well, and Peter, who wanted to be an engineer. Here's Roberta.
You all think that we ought to have been very happy, and we were, but we did not know how happy, till the pretty life at Edgecombe Villa was over and done with, and we had to live a very different life indeed. The dreadful change came quite suddenly.
I hate doing a job like this, especially at Christmas.
Yeah.
Who on earth's that? An Englishman's house is his castle, but I do wish they'd build him with moats and drawbridges, eh? Come in. Yes?
Please, sir, there are two gentlemen wish to see you. I showed them into the study, sir. I hope that was all right.
Excuse me.
So father went downstairs to see the two men and find out what they wanted.
Well?
Why is Daddy shouting?
I don't know, dear. Come in. Yes, Ruth. What is it?
Please, Mum, the master wants you to just step into the study.
Father was taken away by the two men, and only Mother knew why. The children promised not to ask any questions and to be good.
We used to say life was so dull. Nothing ever happened like in books. Now something has happened.
Yes, it has. And it's made Mother unhappy. Everything's horrid. Just horrid.
We're going to have to play at being poor for a while. We're moving to a darling little house in the country, up in Yorkshire.
What?
I know you'll love it.
First class, madam?
No, second. Thank you.
Oh, look like first class quality to me.
Are we on the right train for Yorkshire? Yes. Thank you.
That's very nice of him.
Settle
So Mother and the three children went by train from King's Cross, London to Yorkshire, to a tiny station called Oakworth. A very ugly old man with a horse and cart showed them the way to a house called Three Chimneys. He rode on his cart, but Mother and the children had to walk, carrying their cases. They found the house in darkness, and Phyllis was very frightened.
What's that?
It's only the rats.
Ow! Rats. Wish we hadn't come.
Don't you worry, darlings. I saw a paraffin lamp on the table. We'll soon have some light. Oh, those poor little mice. They were so frightened. I don't believe they were rats at all. You often said you wanted something to happen. Well, now it has. It's quite exciting, isn't it? I told Mrs. Viney to get some meat and bread and have some supper ready. I wonder where. Oh, I suppose she's laid it in the dining room. Come along, darlings. Up here. Let's go and see. Oh, that beastly woman. She's taken the money and not left us any food.
Are we going to have any supper tonight? I'm starving.
Next morning, they found Mrs. Viney's food, including a huge, lovely apple pie. So she wasn't a horrid woman after all. The children went off to play and ran down the hill to a fence overlooking the railway.
It was like a great dragon tearing by.
A dragon's house looks like that tunnel. I never thought we'd ever get so near to a train as this.
It's better than toy engines, isn't it?
Don't know. It's different. It seems so odd to see all of a train. It's so tall. I've always seen them cut in half by platforms. I wonder if that train's going to London. London's where Daddy is.
We don't know that, Phil.
He might be.
The children decided to walk down the line to Oakworth Station. Of course, they shouldn't really have walked on the line, and you must never do it. But in those days, it wasn't quite so dangerous because you could hear a steam engine coming a long, long way away. At the station, they saw a great heap of coal with a line of whitewash near the top. They explored the station and saw a porter in his room, fast asleep. That is, until a bell woke him up.
How do you do?
Eh?
How do you do?
Yes.
Could I ask you 2 questions?
Yeah, well, it does depend what they are. I can't spend all day conversationalising with the junior public. Now, what are they?
Well, firstly, what's that white mark on the coal heap for, please?
You know, that's to tell how much coal there is, you see, in case anybody nicks it. Now, second question, please.
Do you know anything about engines?
Do I know anything about engines? Why?
Because I've got one.
Got what gauge?
Oh, I don't know anything about gauges, but it's about this big.
Yes?
It's brass, and it blew up.
It blew up? Well, just excuse me, young man. I've got a lot to do because the station master's having his haircut in Leeds, you see. And Perks must be about it.
Perks? Who's Perks?
Me, sir. I'm Perks. Right on time.
What is?
This here is the Scots Flyer.
Why is it going so slowly, Mr. Perks?
Why? Well, it's all uphill to Scotland, isn't it?
Mother and the children found the house very cold. So Peter used to go off at night on his own to get coal from the station. Until...
So it's you, Pete. It's you.
It's me what?
It's you that's been putting the coal in the shed. But where from, Pete, for heaven's sake?
From the coal heap, of course. They've got stacks of it there.
But that's stealing. Don't you remember your catechism? Thou shalt not steal, says the Lord.
Wasn't stealing, it was mining. I took it from the top. That's mining, not stealing. If it was, all the miners in the world would be in jail.
Oh, Pete. Pete.
Oh, Pete. Pete.
We'll have to take it all back.
What?
All of it.
All of it.
All of it.
All of it. There can't be anything wrong in trying to keep your own mother warm. That can't be wrong. It's all right, Pete. At least we can burn the evidence.
The 3 children went every day to their favourite fence to watch the trains go by.
Why don't we ask the next train to take our love to Daddy?
Trains don't carry people's love.
They'd be above that. Yes, they do if you tame them first. I wonder why Daddy hasn't written to us.
Mummy says he's too busy. He'll write soon, she says.
Well, why don't we wave anyway? 3 waves won't matter. We won't miss them.
So they did wave. And a kind old gentleman in a first-class coach waved back. Now, because of the cold house, Mother became ill, and the doctor came. He told the children Mother had influenza and gave Bobby a list of expensive things to buy for her. Bobby showed her the list.
Oh, nonsense. I can't afford all that. I haven't an idea in my head for a story, so there won't even be buns for tea for some time. Now, tell Mrs. Viney to boil 2 pounds of scrag end of neck for your dinner tomorrow, and then I'll have some of the broth.
But even if we never have anything to eat at all, you can't afford all those other things.
Right. So we've got to think of some other way. Now, everybody, think. Just as hard as ever you can. Think.
Well, they did think of something. they painted a big sign on a white sheet which said, "Look out at the station." Their old gentleman saw it from his train, and Phyllis waited for him at Oakworth.
Oakworth Station! Oakworth! Oakworth! Oakworth Station!
I thought I'd miss you. You are the man that waves to us, aren't you?
On the doors, please!
Aren't you?
Yes, my dear, I wave.
Oh, will you take this, please? We chose you because we thought you had such a kind face.
Man the doors, please, miss. On the way, Mr. Mitchell! And give it to Perks.
Phyllis gave the old gentleman a letter they had written. That evening, Perks, the porter, came to Three Chimneys with a large hamper.
Evening.
Evening.
Oh, dear. Oh, good evening. The name's Perks. I believe we've met.
Oh, yes, of course. You were busy because of the station master being in leave.
Yes, even busier now, because he had to drop too much down at the Britannia Arms and fell over and broke his daft leg playing billiards. Of course, it was his own fault.
Why?
Well, he should have used the rest, you know. He will do that over the edge, you see. Oh, the old gent asked me to fetch this up straight away.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Perks. I'm very sorry I haven't got tuppence to give you like Father does, but...
Hey, just stop that, please. I wasn't thinking about no tuppences. I just came to say I was sorry to hear your mamma wasn't so well, and to ask how she finds herself this evening. Oh, and I've brought her a bit of sweet briar there. It's very sweet to smell, that is. Tuppence indeed.
Thank you very much. I beg your pardon about the tuppence.
No offence, I'm sure, no offence. Just to show, I'll have a look at that little blown-up brass engine of yours, shall I?
What?
Yeah.
Peter fetched his broken engine and Mr. Perks took it home. When he'd gone, the children opened up the hamper and found it full of food and good things to make their mother well. Bobby read a letter she found inside.
Dear Roberta, Phyllis and Peter, here are the things you want. Your mother will want to know where they came from, so please ask her to forgive me for taking the liberty of allowing myself a great pleasure. Yours sincerely, GP something, I can't read it.
I think we were right to ask him.
Right, of course we're right.
I don't fancy telling Mother the whole truth about this.
We shouldn't do that till she's completely well. And when she is, we'll be so happy we shan't mind the fuss. Oh, look at those roses. I'll take them up to her.
At the railway fence, the children made another sign, thanking the old gentleman. But Mother was very cross.
Now listen, it's quite true that we're poor, but we shall have enough to live on just so long as I have ideas for stories. But you mustn't go about telling people of our affairs. It isn't right. And you must never, never, never ask strangers to give you things. Always remember that.
Yes.
I shall write to your old gentleman. I shall tell him that I didn't approve. Oh, I shall thank him too, of course, for his kindness. But it's you that I don't approve of, not the old gentleman. He's been extremely kind. You can give my letter to your Mr. Perks to give to him. And you won't say any more about it.
Isn't she marvellous when she's angry?
One rainy, cold day, the children were waiting at Oakworth Station for Mother to come home from another town. You see, she was writing stories for magazines and had to go away to sell them so that they could buy food and live at Three Chimneys, now that their father was away.
I hope Mother doesn't get too wet in Wakefield. We don't want her ill again.
It's like being in a besieged castle. The arrows of the foe striking against the battlements. No, it's more like a great big garden squirt. You're a great big garden squirt. Thank you.
Stop it, you two. There's a train coming.
Oakworth Station! Oakworth! Oakworth Station! Come along, ladies. Don't mind the rain. It's only a shower. That's it, thank you. Mind the doors, please. Mind the doors now. Do the doors, come on. Right away, Mr. Maid Price.
As the train went away, a passenger fell down on the platform. The children helped him into the waiting room. He only understood French. When Mother came in by the next train, she recognized him as a famous Russian writer. They took him to Three Chimneys, put him to bed, and sent for the doctor. Whilst Mother was sorting out some clothes from her trunk for the Russian, Bobby saw her daddy's clothes and his photograph. She quickly went into the passage outside.
Bobby, I know you said we weren't to ask any questions. Daddy isn't dead, is he? Oh, my darling, no. Bobby, look at me. Daddy was quite well when I heard from him last. And he'll come back to us someday.
That night, in the children's bedroom...
Do tell us about the Russian. I can't make a long story of it, darling, because I'm very tired. He's a very clever writer. But in Russia, one dare not say anything about the rich people doing wrong or what ought to be done for the poor. If one does, one is sent to prison. Well, he wrote a book about it all. And he was 3 years in a dungeon. No light, damp and dreadful. Then they took him out and they sent him to Siberia, and he was condemned to stay there for life.
For life? For writing a book? That's stupid. Go on, Mama.
While he was at the mines, some friends got a message to him to say that his wife and children had escaped to England. And so after many adventures, he too escaped and came here to look for them.
Do you think he will find them?
Oh, I do hope so. I think, my darlings, in your prayers, you might ask God to show his pity upon all prisoners and captives.
To show his pity upon all prisoners and captives?
Yes, darling. Upon all prisoners and captives.
The next morning, the children were going to Mr. Perks about some strawberries as a present for the Russian. When they came to the north side of the tunnel, they saw the Green Dragon again.
Look at that tree over there! Lord, it's moving. So are the others. It's magic. What is it? What is it? It's much too magic for me. I don't like it. I'm going home.
Trees, rocks crashed onto the railway line. When it settled, the children ran down to see. It was a terrible mess.
Hey, the 11:29 hasn't got by yet. Must let them know at the station there'll be an accident. Let's run. No, come back. It's too late. It's 2 miles away. We could always climb the telegraph poles and do something to the wires. Oh, we don't know how. If we only had something red, we could go down onto the line and wave it. The train wouldn't see us till it came round the corner, then it would be too late. We could go round the corner and wave to the train. We might wave anyway. No, they'd only think it was us as usual. We waved so often before. Flannel petticoats! Beg your pardon? Flannel petticoats! Of course, take them off. Stand firm and wave like mad! Keep up the line, Bobby! They won't see us! It's all no good! Get up the line, Bobby! It's all no good! Get back! Not yet! Not yet! Stop! Stop! Stop!
The 3 children saved the train from a terrible accident. And a few days later, at Oakworth Station, their old gentleman, who was the director of the railway, presented them with 3 beautiful gold watches. Everyone from the village was there.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think you will agree with me that we have 3 charming children here who are indeed an example to us all. If I had to rename the Waterbury children, I would call them the 3 saviors of the steel road, or perhaps the railway children. And now, my dears, from the directors of the Northern and Southern Railway, in grateful recognition of a courageous and brave action which averted an accident on August the 15th, 1905.
Oh, thank you.
So ended a lovely day for the 3 of them. And Perks returned Peter's engine to him, mended. That night, the 2 girls were talking in their bedroom.
It was a wonderful day, wasn't it? The kind of day that very seldom happens to anybody. But I did so want to talk to the old gentleman about something else. What did you want to say to him? Well, I'll tell you. I've written him a letter. My dearest old gentleman, I want to ask you something, please. If you get out of the train and go by the next, it would do. I do not want you to give me anything. Mother says we ought not to. And besides, we do not want any things. Only to talk to you about a prisoner and captive. Your loving friend, Bobby. Very good. Yes, yes.
The old gentleman did get off the train, and the children told him all about the Russian. His name was Shapansky.
That man, bless my soul, I read his book, and so your mother took him in, like the good Samaritan. I tell you what, youngsters, your mother must be a very good woman.
Yes, she is. And you're a good man.
You flatter me. Now, am I to tell you what I think of you?
Oh, please don't.
Why?
I don't know why exactly. Only if it's something horrid, I don't want you to. And if it's something nice, I'd rather you didn't.
Well, then all I will say is that I'm very glad you came to me about all this. Very glad indeed. And I shouldn't be surprised if I don't find out something very soon. Well, now, tell me something about yourselves.
Me first.
A few days later, their old gentleman came up the field from the station and met the children. He told them he had found the Russian's wife and children. Bobby told Mummy the good news, and the Russian went back to London with the old gentleman to join his family. Later on, the children were chatting as usual with Perks in his room at the station. Perks was looking at a brooch that Bobby was wearing.
Ah, yeah, that's a likely little brooch, that. You know, I don't know if I've ever seen a thing more like a buttercup without it were a buttercup.
Mother gave it to me for my birthday.
Oh, is that it? Yeah, I didn't see it close to. It's highly decorative, that. Thank you.
When's your birthday, Mr. Perks?
My birthday? Yeah, I gave up keeping it my birthday before you lot were born.
You must have been born sometime, you know, even if it was 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, or 60, or 70.
Yeah, well, it wasn't quite so long as that, miss. So if you really want to know, it's my 42 years from the 15th of this month.
Why don't you keep it then?
I've got other things to keep besides birthdays.
Oh, what? Not secrets, Mr. Perks.
No, the kids and the blooming missus.
I've sold another story, darlings. The one about the king of the mussels. So there'll be buns for tea. You can go and get them the moment they're ready.
Mummy, would you mind if we didn't have buns for tea tonight, but on the 15th? That's next Thursday.
I don't mind when you have them, darling, but why?
Well, it's Perks' birthday. He's 42. He says he doesn't keep his birthday anymore. He's got other things to keep. Not rabbits and secrets, but the kids and the bloomin' missus.
His wife and children, Bobby.
It's the same thing, isn't it?
Bloomin' missus is sort of a germ of endearment, isn't it?
Term of endearment, Phil.
Yes. And we thought we'd make a nice birthday for him. He's been very nice to us, you know. And we agreed that next bun day we'd ask if we could.
It would be rather nice to write his name on the buns in pink sugar, wouldn't it?
Perks isn't a very pretty name. Albert's his other name. I asked him once. I think Albert's a pretty name.
That afternoon, the children had a meeting in the barn.
What about flowers? Well, he's got lots of flowers of his own, hasn't he?
Yes, but it's always nice to be given them.
Let's all just sit and think. No one's to speak until they've thought of something. I've got it.
What?
Well, Perks is so nice to everyone, right?
Right.
So there must be lots of people in the village who'd like to help make him a birthday, right?
Mother said we weren't to ask people for things.
Oh, for ourselves, she meant, silly, not for other people.
So they went round the village asking people to give things for Mr. Perks's birthday. Most were kind, only a few could not give. By the time they'd finished, they had a pram full. The next day, they took the presents to Mrs. Perks and said they would hide in another room. After Perks had seen the presents, they would come out and wish him happy birthday. He was already coming towards the cottage.
Hello. Hello. With me. Hello, woman.
Oh, here's a pretty set out.
It's your birthday tea, Bert. And here's an ounce of your extra particular.
Yeah, she's a good old girl. Hey, what's that pram doing here? Well, what's all these bundles? Hey? And what's all this sweet stuff? And what's this squirrel doing on the table? Hey?
Oh, Lord. Whatever shall we do? I've forgotten to put the labels on any of the things. You won't know what's from who. You'll think it's all from us, and that we're trying to be grand and charitable or something horrid like that. Shh, be quiet.
I don't care. I won't stand it. I tell you straight.
But it's them children you make such a fuss about. The children from the Three Chimneys.
I don't care. Not if it was angels from heaven. I've got on all right all these years and no favours asked. I'm not going to begin these sort of charity goings on at my time of life, and don't you think it, Nell.
Oh, shush, Bert. Shut your silly tongue, for goodness sake. The all three of 'em's in the other room are listening to every word you speaks.
Right, I'll give them something to listen to. Spoke my mind to these before. I'll do it again. Come out. Come on out. Out here. Come on. Right, you can tell me what you mean by it. Have I ever complained to you of being short as you start this charity with me?
We thought you'd be so pleased, Mr. Perks. I'll never try and be kind to anyone else as long as I live. No, I won't. Not never. Didn't mean any harm.
It isn't what you mean so much as what you does.
We thought you'd love it. We always have things on our birthdays.
Oh, aye, from your own relations. That's different.
No, not just our relations.
They're from all sorts of people in the village.
And who put them up to it, I'd like to know.
He did.
So you've been going round telling the neighbours that we can't make both ends meet. Well, now you've disgraced us as deep as you can in the neighbourhood. You can just take that old pack of tricks back where it came from. I'm very much obliged, I'm sure. I don't doubt but what you meant it kind, but I'd rather not be acquainted with you any longer if it's all the same to you.
Look here. We'll go if you like. And you needn't be friends with us anymore if you don't want to. But before...
We'll always be friends with you, even though you're nasty to us.
But before we go, do let us show you these labels that we brought to put on the things.
I don't want to see no labels except proper luggage labels in my own walk of life.
Please let Bobby show you the labels.
Oh, all right, go on.
Well then, we wrote down everything everybody said when they gave us the things with the people's names on. Because Mother said that we ought to be careful. Because, well, I wrote down what she said, and you'll see. That's from Mother. She thought Mrs. Perks might like some of Phyllis's things.
I can't do much. But please. Yes, well, that's all right. I mean, your ma's a born lady. We'll keep the little frocks and whatnot, Nell.
Yes, Albert.
Then there's the perambulator and the gooseberries and sweets. They're from Mrs. Ransom.
I can't send the pram back, Bert, and I won't. So don't ask.
I'm not asking anything.
Then there's the shovel. Mr. James made that for you himself. And he says... Oh, where is it? Ah, yes, here.
No, you can read it.
He says, you tell Mr. Perks, it is a pleasure to make a little trifle for a man as is so much respected.
Yeah, he was a good chap, that. He's a very good chap, that. He's not bad at all, that chap.
And everybody who gave anything said they liked you, and that they thought it was a very good idea of ours. And nobody said anything about charity or anything horrid like that.
And we thought that you'd love to know how fond everybody is of you. And I've never been so unhappy in all my born days. Goodbye. Come on.
Stop! I take back every word I've said, contrary to what you'd wish. Nell?
Yes, Albert?
Put kettle on.
We'll take away the things if you're unhappy with them.
I'm not unhappy about them. I don't know as I was ever better pleased. Not so much with the presents, though frankly they are an A1 collection, but the kind respect of our neighbours. That's worth having, Nell.
I think it's all worth having. And you've made a most ridiculous fuss about nothing, Bert, if you ask me.
No, I haven't. If a man didn't respect himself, nobody wouldn't do it for him.
But everyone respects you. They all said so.
We knew you'd like it once you understood.
The next morning, while the children were working in the garden, Mr. Perks arrived with a parcel.
Hello, my dears. How'd at it, are you? Yeah, well, yeah. One good turn deserves another, that's what I always say.
Hello, Mr. Perks. How do you mean?
Well, I found these magazines, you see, in the waiting room. I was cleaning up, and they're in a cupboard, and, well, they're only collecting dust, and dust is, as you know, unhygienic. Hello?
Hello.
I thought perhaps you might like them. There's a lot of pictures in them, and that, and you can colour them up with chalks and that. Anyway, I don't want them.
You're a dear.
Yes, you are. Here.
Well, that's all right, then. Well, I must be getting along. I've got lots to do. Perks must be about it.
Thank you. That was very kind of him. I think we'd better go inside. It's going to rain.
As Bobby bent down to pick up the bundle of magazines, she saw a photograph of her father in the newspaper which was wrapping the parcel. Under the photograph it said, Charles Waterbury, end of trial. Sentence 5 years, penal servitude. Bobby ran with the parcel into her room and sat on her bed, sobbing. Soon Mother came up.
Bobby? What is it, my darling?
Mommy.
You don't believe Daddy did it?
No.
Because it's not true. They have shut him in prison, but he's done nothing wrong. He's good and honorable, and he belongs to us.
Would it make you very unhappy if you tell me all about it? I want to understand.
Do you remember the day those two men came to the house and took Daddy away?
Yes, I do.
Well, they arrested him, charging him with selling state secrets, with being, in fact, a spy and a traitor.
How could anyone believe that? How could anyone do such a thing?
Someone did.
Why didn't you tell someone? A lawyer. There wasn't anyone who'd hurt Daddy on purpose, was there?
Oh, I don't know. It's all so complicated. There was a man in the office who was very envious of your father. Daddy always said he didn't quite trust him.
Why didn't you explain all that to someone?
No one would listen. Do you suppose I haven't tried everything? No, my darling. What we have to do, you and I, and Daddy, is to be brave.
In the morning, Bobby delivered a letter to Mr. Perks at the station to give to their old gentleman. On her way back, she met Phyllis and Peter.
Where have you been?
Where have I been? Down to the station, but don't ask me why. It's a secret.
Oh, please yourself.
There's going to be a paper chase tomorrow.
Whoopee! Who?
The grammar school boys.
Zippy!
Perk says we can see them go along by the line.
Really? What's the paper chase?
The children watched the hare and hounds run into a tunnel. One boy, in a red jersey who was last, fell over, and Peter told him which way the others had gone. Our three decided to run across the top of the tunnel and see them come out the other end. The hounds ran out, all except the boy in the red jersey.
There, that's all. What should we do now?
Not yet. There's one in the red jersey. He hasn't come out yet. Come on, let's go to the tunnel mouth and perhaps we can see him from the inside.
It's dark in there.
Don't worry, Phil. I'll protect you.
I don't like it.
Still no sign of him. I reckon he must have had an accident. Let's go and rescue him. Come on.
Come on, Phil. Keep close behind me. If a train comes along, get flat against the tunnel wall and hold your skirts against you.
I still don't like it. Would it go back?
Shh, don't be silly. What is that?
It's a train.
Oh, let me go back.
Don't be a coward. It's quite safe. Stand back.
Come in. Come on. Come on.
Supposing that boy was caught underneath the train.
Oh, we've got to go and see.
Can't we go and get someone from the station? Phil, you wait here.
No.
Hello? Hey, you two, come quickly! Oh, is that blood? Is that red blood? Is he all killed?
Phyllis, please. Hurry up, you two, get help.
They found the boy lying near the line. He had broken his leg. 2 men helped to get him up to 3 Chimneys. Mother looked after him and sent for Dr. Forrest, who put his leg in plaster. A few days later, the children were helping clean the brasses in the kitchen when there was a knock at the door.
That'll be Dr. Forrest. I'll go.
That's not the doctor.
I know. I know that voice, though. At least I think I do.
I thought I recognized it too. It's not the doctor, that's for sure. Could it be? Perhaps Dr. Forrest has been attacked by a highwayman and left for dead, and this is the man they've telegraphed to take his place.
Perhaps he's gone mad. Perhaps he's caught something awful from one of his patients, and that man's come to tell her.
Nonsense. Mother wouldn't take the man into Jim's bedroom. Why should she?
Listen. The door's opening.
Bobby? A relative of Jim's has come. He wants to see you. Wash your hands and faces. We'll be in the dining room when you're ready.
Yes, Mama.
There now. Fancy not thinking of that, hmm? Any hot water, Mrs. Viney?
Right, oh, look.
That's it.
Well, I never did.
This, my dears, is Jim's grandfather.
Our own old gentleman. I'm so awfully glad it's you. When I just think of all the old gentlemen there are in the world, it could have been anyone.
You're not going to take Jim away, though, are you?
Not at present. Your mother has most kindly consented to let him stay here. I thought of sending a nurse, but your mother is good enough to say that she will nurse him herself.
What about her writing? He won't have anything to eat if Mother doesn't write.
That's all right, Peter.
I see you trust your children.
Of course.
Then I may tell them our little arrangement. Sit down, my dears. Your mother, my dears, has consented to give up her writing for a while and to become a matron of my hospital.
Does that mean we'll have to leave 3 Chimneys and the railway and everything?
No, no, my darling, no.
The hospital is here. The 3 Chimneys Hospital, and my unlucky Jim is the only patient.
Will Mother go on writing again?
We shall see. Perhaps something nice will happen and she won't have to.
But I like my writing.
I know. Don't be afraid I'm going to try and interfere, but one never knows. Very beautiful and wonderful things do happen, don't they? And we live most of our lives in the hope of them.
As the old gentleman was walking away from the house with Bobby, he said,
I got your letter, my dear, but it wasn't needed. When I read about your father's case in the papers at the time, I had my doubts. And ever since I've known who you were, I've been trying to find out things. And I have hopes.
Oh.
Yes, I may say, great hopes. But keep your secret for a little while longer. Wouldn't do to upset your mother with a false hope, would it?
But it isn't false. I know you can do it. I knew you could when I wrote. It isn't a false hope, is it?
No, my dear.
You don't believe Daddy did it? Oh, say you don't believe he did.
My dear, I'm perfectly certain he didn't.
Life at Three Chimneys was never quite the same again after the old gentleman came to see us. Jim's leg got better and he went home. We seemed to be hardly railway children at all in those days. And as the days went on, each of us had an uneasy feeling about this, which Phyllis expressed one day.
I wonder if the railway misses us. We never go and see it now.
It seems ungrateful. We loved it so when we hadn't anyone to play with. The thing I don't like is our having stopped waving to the 9:15 and sending our love to Father by it.
Let's begin again tomorrow.
Next morning, they ran down the hill towards the railway line.
Take our love to Father!
Take our love to Father!
The old gentleman's train went by, but this time, everyone in the train waved back to them.
Most extraordinary. Most extraordinary.
Extraordinary indeed.
Later, in the dining room of Three Chimneys, Mother was giving the children a lesson.
Now, Bobby, I wonder whether you can... Don't you feel well?
I don't know. I don't know how I feel. Will you let me off lessons today? I feel as if I want to be quite alone. By myself.
Of course I'll let you off. You don't feel ill, do you?
No, not ill. I've just got to be alone. Do you know?
Sometimes, Roberta, you're so like me.
I'll be more alive in the garden.
Bobby found herself wandering down to Oakworth Station. And there she met Mr. Pax.
Hello, there you are. Look, if this is a train, it'll be smart work. God bless you, my dear. I've seen it in the papers. I don't know I was ever so pleased with anything in all my born days. One I must have, and no offence I know on a day like this. I've one for luck. Now, you ain't offended, are you? I haven't taken too great a liberty, have I, on a day like this, you know?
No, Mr. Pax. Of course it's not a liberty.
No.
Dear Mr. Pax, we love you quite as much as if you're an uncle of our own.
Hey.
But on a day like what?
Well, like this here. I told you I seen it in the papers, didn't I? I told you!
So what in the papers?
Oakworth! 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 Oakworth Station!
There were only a few passengers for Oakworth that morning. The train slowly pulled out of the station. Bobby was left standing there, looking at the steam drifting away. And as it was clearing, she saw a tall figure standing alone on the platform.
Daddy, my daddy!
Bobby and her father made their way arm in arm up to Three Chimneys. She opened the front door to let him in. Peter and Phyllis came running from the back of the house. Bobby told them the marvelous news and led them away.
I think just now we're not wanted there. Not for a few minutes, anyway. I think it would be best for us to go quickly and quietly. We'll go to the end of the field, among the thin gold spikes of grass. We may just take one last look over our shoulders at the house where neither we nor anyone else is wanted now.